as I said, technical difficulties galore. I'm trying to get this thing up on YouTube. It's not working. It doesn't work on YouTube, but that's okay. That's fine. I've got 17 different windows open. I don't know what's going on here, but Packer game today. Packer games today. I don't know if you knew that. Do you know there's a Packer game today? There is. T-Bone. Odds on Wagner start. Why is Wagner not going to start? Should be 100%, right? Question right out of the gate. Packers injuries. To answer that real quick. Why would Wagner not start? Billy Turner, it still says doubtful. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I hope it's 100%. If Billy Turner surprise plays, that would be depressing. This thing still isn't working. It's not working. That's all right. If somebody would like to possibly send in some kind of a question, comment, concern, so I can see what happens when that happens, because I haven't done this. They've changed everything. Um, who are the Packers? I see that on Facebook, though. Let me see if it kicks in on the other end here. Chat, there's nothing here. This thing is garbage. I paid for this, and it doesn't do anything. So I will be canceling that momentarily. How many times do we sack Cousins today? Well, let's see. We know Zadarius is going to get at least 4. Kenny probably gets 1 against that garbage center that they have. Preston and Rashawn, let's see, they're going to get at least 1 apiece. So 14. I'm going with 14. So, no, that's mean. I should say 13. 13 is more accurate. Congrats on the 4th. Where do you find the time? I'm not sure the intention of that question. The time for the podcast. Well, I find time for the podcast by getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But thank you for the congrats, Gib Pichet. I don't know. I don't think I messed that up. I feel like that's pretty straightforward. GIB could only really be Gib, right? And then I think the little slashy line thing is going with Gib Pichet. Will we see A.J. Dillon today? I'm pretty sure we're going to see A.J. Dillon today. I know he's been relegated to the number 3 spot, so I don't think, they're going to ease him in and all that, but I'd be stunned if we didn't. We saw even last year and in years past where you still see like that number 3. He comes out like once. We saw Dexter for little flashes here and there. Gibbs says all good, so that means I said it wrong, but close enough. Can't see for more than 5 snaps is what Kyle. I think that's about right. I think he gets. It'd be nice if we saw him kind of early, just like get a little series, little here and there. But I think it's more likely that it's a lot of Aaron Jones, and then we see a lot of Jamal. Maybe toward the end, kind of like I talked about on the podcast, we get a little bit of A.J. Dillon, whether it's to smash, the defense in the mouth a little bit, continue to tire him out with his fresh legs and 450 pounds of muscle frame, um, or ideally we're ahead by enough that they feel comfortable, like let's just try to burn out the clock with A.J. Dillon and see what he can do. But I would be more surprised than not surprised if he didn't play. I think I said that right. Don't know what that means. So we've got the Green Bay Packers playing the Minnesota Vikings today. I feel like I might have a slight heart attack. If you guys wouldn't mind telling me what you guys have food plans for today, because I had all kinds of grandiose plans for making food, and I ended up just throwing chicken in a slow cooker. I was planning on grilling the chicken, but I got lazy and I didn't really feel like it, so I threw it in a slow cooker with a bunch of barbecue sauce, which I've never done before. But I'm gonna have some barbecue chicken, some shredded barbecue chicken on some. I don't know. I didn't get rolls or anything. I'm not leaving the house, man. I can't. I'm gonna have a panic attack. I'm just trying to get through the day. Half the reason I'm doing this stream right now is that I'm occupied with my time, not thinking about what time is it every 5 seconds. Ben's making chicken wings. Dude, do you have like an air fryer or anything? I love me some chicken wings. I got an air fryer. I've used it like 3 times, and unfortunately, I kind of just got lazy, and then it got stashed in the garage, and I just don't feel like going out in the garage to get stuff. So, just grill with a bunch of. Why are you with Vikings fans? Are you in Minnesota, Ben, or are you a Vikings fan? I guess I don't know. Tacos. See, now that's. I'm trying to behave with the food, and I know it's a Packers game, so you kind of let yourself have a little bit. Um, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to not at least make one taco. Just for the heck of it. Pizza's always good. Pizza is good. I had pizza for breakfast. I shouldn't admit that, but I did. Um, Smoked pork butt yesterday for 10 out. Dude, Jason, my man. Where do you live, Jason? Are you in and around the Madison, Wisconsin area? I can make pork butt tacos. I have taco shells. I feel like that's a 50-50 split. I'll provide the shells, the cheese. I got all kinds of toppings and salsa and stuff. You just bring over the pork. Meatless tacos because I made a terrible decision to become vegetarian. How do you ban somebody from the group? Andrew, you're killing me, dude. Queso every Sunday for lunch during the season. I don't even know what that means, Kyle, but congrats on that. So, I don't know, man. Throw something at me. What are we talking about today? I feel like I've exhausted absolutely everything. I haven't seen any updates on injuries. It's the same old thing. Um, again, like I said on the. You're welcome, Andrew. Roberto says, sending a big go pack go to all your Brazilian Packers fans. Dude, what is it, Roberto? Help me out, man. And I've asked this before. What is it with Brazil? Is it just because there's 60 billion people in Brazil, or is there like some kind of a reason why so many people from Brazil are Packer fans? That's like one of the biggest like Packers contingents are in Brazil. I love that. New Richmond, Wisconsin, close to the Twin Cities. Well, I'm sorry about that. I actually grew up in Illinois, and then I lived in Kenosha for 4 years. So I know what that's about. Not necessarily Vikings fans. I feel like for the first time ever, I'm getting a vibe for what Vikings fans are like. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Oh. All right. So I've exhausted everything. Maybe the color matches with our flag, green and yellow. That's absolutely true. Um, Man, you get me in front of the podcast and I can ramble forever. You put me on the spot in front of the group. I'm kind of letting you guys run with this a little bit. What are your thoughts? All right, let's do that. Score predictions. Score predict. I went. What was it on YouTube channel? Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but I had said that it's going to be a relatively low scoring game. Again, that's mostly me being a coward because I'm terrified of what's going to happen in this game. I would love for us to blow this wide open, which could absolutely happen. I could see that happening with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams and all these guys with the Vikings' lack of anything to stop anyone. I could absolutely see that blowing wide open. But I'm just preparing myself for an absolute garbage. I gotta. How do we? This is going to upset me that I can't figure out how to do this properly. Because you guys are, I can only see like 4 comments and then they just disappear. And I can see that we'll get this going. Aaron Rod, you stop. There we go. Now I got the comments. Now I got it. So I could see it absolutely becoming a high scoring game. Um, but I'm scared of a blowout because I don't see the Packers getting like 35 and the Vikings getting 10 as much as I would love to have that happen. It hasn't happened recently, and if it's a blowout, that scares me because then I'm nervous because the Vikings are dominating our defense, and why are they doing that? So I'm just kind of defaulting to it's going to be 20-ish to 13-ish, which doesn't super excite me, but it feels comfortable there. Like the Vikings can't do anything because they're trash, and Za'Darius got 15 sacks. I don't know why I like that, but I just do. Andy says 35-17 Packers. There you go. Andy says Packers are going to. I hope so. I absolutely hope that that's the case. Um, and again, on paper, there's no reason that shouldn't be the case. They can't stop the run. They can't stop Devontae. I mean, I don't know if I'll give them Lazard. They can somewhat competently cover Lazard, but not very much. And then defensively, their offensive line can't stop Za'Darius or Preston or Rashawn or Clark or anybody. So there's no reason that can't be the case. Thomas says 27-20. I would say that's actually pretty solid. If we look at what I said last year about 24 being that magic number, keep the opponents below 24, we score above 24. It's kind of the safe zone. Billy says 24-17 right in there. Ben says 24-7. That would also be what would be better? 35-17 or 24-7? I kind of think 24-7 would be better. I mean, I'd love to score 35 points because that's like, the Packers don't get to 35 much these days. That would be kind of like we're back, and also 17 is not very high. So that kind of says both are doing well. But 24-7 is the Packers did a decent job on offense, but the defense is just horrifying. How do you feel about the first three picks of the draft being all third string or worse? um, well, the quarterback situation is scary. We're not going to have an answer to that for a long time. I think A.J. Dillon, he's third string for now. There's a good chance he's first string by the end of the year. We'll have to see how that plays out. Again, my anticipation was A.J. Dillon's going to eventually become the bell cow, getting 15, 16 carries a game. Aaron Jones gets 8, 9, 10 plus a bunch of receptions. Um, so we'll have to see how that pans out. And then Josiah DeGuara, I don't know, third string. Is he third? I guess according to the depth chart, maybe, but I think he already has a role, and I think he's going to be a fixture on the team. I don't know about string necessarily, but I mean, it's kind of like, who was it that said that? Something to the effect of, I don't know. I'm not going to try to remember things because my brain is stupid. But what the heck was I talking about? We don't really know that where everybody's going to be playing at, right? In other words, the Packers drafted a bunch of backups. Did they draft a bunch of backups? We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with Josiah DeGuara. We may have drafted a we may have drafted our future Hall of Fame quarterback, Derrick Henry, um, who's a Cincinnati guy, Kelsey at tight end, and our starting linebacker. We don't know. Probably not, but I mean, just because all the media pundits, the draft analysts said that this was a terrible draft doesn't mean it was a terrible draft. We have to see what happens with Kamal Martin and the rest of these guys. Plus, the offensive linemen. Let's not forget them. They may be playing a role upcoming. As of right now, everybody hates the draft, but that's because they're just assuming what's going to happen. Andrew Moran says 24-21. That's a little bit closer to where I think realistically we're going to be at. I think because every single Packers game has to give me a complete heart attack, and we have to win by just barely a field goal. My heart is just like pounding just thinking about that 24-21 because I can feel it. I can feel, you know what, it's like in my head it's like this is going to be an easy game. We're just going to dominate everything. It's going to be no problem. Just going to rake the coals with the Vikings. It's not going to be any kind of issue. And then you play the game and it's like they can't get a first down. It's like, why can't you get a first down? Why can't you throw to Devontae? He's better than everybody. He should just get open and throw. That's just never how it works. Justin says 30-21. I would be very happy with that. Billy says King and Savage with a pick each. Gary gets a sack. I don't want to start. I mean, you know I'm going to a little bit. I don't want to start with my King slander. But I just think that many picks was somewhat unsustainable. If we want to do another side bet, we'll do another side bet. But I don't see Kevin King getting that many picks. That doesn't mean he's going to be a bad football player. I hope that he continues to get better. But I would say he gets less picks, so I'm not super high on that. Savage, though, I'll get behind that. Gary gets a sack. I'm actually, Gary is kind of similar to A.J. Dillon. I'm wondering how much they're going to use him. I really wonder if we're going to see Zadarius and Gary get used interchangeably inside. See a lot of Zadarius and Kenny inside with Gary and Preston outside. I really hope there's a heavy dose of that because I genuinely believe in Rashawn Gary. I know he's not perfect, but it's that or we put Zadarius back outside and put what? Kingsley Kiki inside? Is that a better front four? I don't necessarily know that it is. It certainly isn't anywhere near as high of upside. Of those three, and I'll ask you this too, go ahead and put it in the comments section. Kevin King gets a pick, Savage gets a pick, or Gary gets a sack. Which one do you think is most likely? I know I just said I didn't necessarily think it would happen, but I think King getting a pick would be the most logical answer to that because he's going to be playing every snap on defense, and he had a bunch of picks last year. But my heart says Rashawn Gary, so I'm going with Rashawn Gary. Bobby says 27-20. Pack takes it. Again, pretty similar to where I'm at, but that's a little bit more comfortable. Even though it's one score, it's 7 points. Plus, it's not a bad score to where 27 points is pretty good on offense. 20 is respectable for a defense. It's not a blowout either way. It's relatively just kind of coasting there comfortable. I'd be all right with that. I think a big question is, will our wide receivers make the next step this year? Yeah, I mean, the big question is there another step? Is it everybody's real big on MVS, like he's going to blow up this year. Maybe we know what he is and that's it. We do that with every single one of our wide receivers, and I don't want to count anybody out. Alan Lazard could maybe get better. MVS could maybe get better. EQ could maybe get better. Or maybe they're just what they are, right? We did that with Geronimo. Like, he's going to be so good this year. We did that with Janice. We did that with all these guys. Like, this year, they're going to take a step. Maybe this is just what they are. I don't know. But if there is another step, that'd be nice. And I think MVS is the guy most people are keying in on because you know the potential is there. And EQ is as well because we haven't even really seen much of him. And I had heard that he's not playing. I haven't really seen that anywhere, but I got a text message from someone saying that. Billy says Jamal with a receiving touchdown. All right, I'll let you have that one. I'm good with it. Prediction: Rashawn has a big game. So does Justin Jefferson. I think that makes a lot of sense in terms of Justin Jefferson, insofar as that's what, if I'm the Vikings, that's what I think you need to do, because it's, as I said in one of the things that I did, it's one of the few matches that potentially is in your favor. Justin Jefferson's a real talented wide receiver, especially right off the line. And as much as I love all three of our corners, Chandon Sullivan, we don't really know what he does in a full-time role. Maybe that's kind of tough. But, again, I'm kind of out on rookies, especially in week one, without a lot of practice and without a lot of training. And I think building a game plan around a guy that has never played an NFL snap in his entire life would be kind of iffy. Not that they necessarily have to build a game plan around him for him to have a big game, but I just think that that's kind of risky if they even bother with that so much. According to everything that I have heard, he is basically number 3 on the depth chart. He's the purely a slot guy, and they don't play 3 wide receivers all that much. Maybe that'll change this year. We'll have to see, but I think it's just going to be a heavy dose of Dalvin Cook, and that's going to need to be our main focus. Rashawn having a big game, I would doubt it, but I certainly hope so. Billy says, excited to see Jace with little to zero hype coming into the season. Yeah, and I'm even starting to feel guilty about that because I keep talking about DeGuara, but clearly Jace is that Jimmy Graham type guy. I mean, I know Tanyan is that guy, and maybe they'll give him the opportunity to be so, but Jace was drafted to be that guy. And for all we know, I mean, look, we know Matt LaFleur wants to come in and utilize tight ends. We know they drafted Jace to be that guy. We know that one of the weaknesses of the team is that it's Devontae and then a big question mark. And the Packers would love for the tight end to fill that void of what that next thing is. So it's kind of logical to think that the Packers want to lean on Jace to be that X factor, especially coming out of the gate. You know, there's no talk about what we're doing or who's doing what. The Vikings don't know anything coming in. It's just Devontae and then Aaron Jones, and then, that's all we got to account for. And now you got Jay Sternberger coming in. He's out in the slot. He's in line playing down the seam and all this stuff and just tears everybody up. I don't know if he has that ability. I don't know if he's ready for that. I don't know if the Packers are even going to give him that opportunity because maybe just mentally he's not there and they're going to put Tanyan in and Tanyan whatever. But it makes a lot of sense that if he's halfway ready, they're going to give him the opportunity and try to capitalize on that quite a bit. Looking forward to watching our defense more than our offense this week. Yeah, I think so. I think a big part of that is I want to believe that it's not fake. I want to know that Za'Darius is still a freak. I want to know that Preston's still bringing pressure. I want to see growth from Rashawn. I want to see growth from Savage. There's for the second year in a row talk about Jair possibly being that next big corner. And pretty much everybody on the defense you want to see something from. Kevin King, you want to be able to see, is he going to take that step and be that guy that deserves a contract and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously Christian Kirksey. Of course we want to see him on the offense. Do I care about David Bakhtiari outside of being healthy? No. Elton Jenkins, he's already pretty solid. I'm good. The only thing on offense I think I really want to see, as we already just said, the number 2 wide receiver, the tight end situation, and is A.J. Dillon going to play? So I would agree with that. I'm more excited to watch the defense. I mean, I'm excited to watch the offense because it's the second year and you want to see those wrinkles. You want to see a new, transformed, and high-octane offense. But in terms of the individual players, there's more I want to watch for on defense. Did you see Aaron Rodgers in the McAfee show say that Jamal is catching balls like crazy? I didn't. I missed it. That's the second time I had somebody reach out. He also said some kind of a comment JJ mentioned about first time his arm hasn't hurt in 16 years. I didn't know his arm hurt. I don't usually put a lot of stock in that kind of stuff. I know he has called out Jamal Williams. Maybe this is the same clip or quote or whatever, but talking about he had to highlight like one guy that's really kind of transformed himself and done a good job, and that's Jamal. And again, that could be another X factor, especially in week one. Anything that's new, these new wrinkles, this stuff that you're not expecting. Nobody's expecting Jamal Williams to be a major point of emphasis in this game, especially if you start using two running back sets. Where's the defense's attention? It's Aaron Jones, right? It's not Jamal Williams. Perfect opportunity to go at Jamal Williams. I think Dillon is going to get the bulk of the carries at the end of October and all of December. It's going to hurt to tackle him when it gets cold. Yeah. So again, I think that's the goal, and I don't think he's probably there yet. If they think he is there yet, cool. But if not, kind of similar to what happened with Kenny Clark. We drafted Kenny Clark in the first round. Obviously, the goal was for him to take over and be that guy next to Mike Daniels. When he first started, he wasn't getting all that many opportunities, and he didn't actually look all that good. By the time the playoffs came around, it was him and Mike Daniels. And he actually, I think, started grading out better than Mike Daniels by the end of his first year. By year two, he was the guy. I mean, it was him and Mike were the guys. So he'd a little bit solidified his spot. And I see something kind of similar to that happening with A.J. Dillon. Vikings never give us an easy game. Yeah, I mean, nobody really does. It's like I said, every game that even ones that should be easy, the Giants game last year, the Washington game last year, the Lions games, those should not be close games. They always are, though. So I don't, again, on paper, in my mind, the Packers are clearly the better team. The analysis of that is pretty straightforward, but I don't know, man. I'm super nervous about it because you just never know what's going to happen. And whether it's the Vikings or, I mean, this could be the Giants, and I'd be nervous because it's like, well, Saquon, you never know. Thomas says, like my mama always says, heart attack pack. That's absolutely correct. The other way to say that is cardiac pack. I think that was the old '80s line, but yeah, it's every game. It's every game. It's like that. They should do a study on Packers fans and see if they more often die of heart attacks and if maybe they don't quite live as long as other people. Because I swear my heart has taken some serious damage. Um, Are you worried about Aaron Rodgers staring down Adams too much again and not trusting others? Absolutely, I am, because the big part of this whole scheme is to kind of it's dependent on when I call a play, it's to scheme this, that, or the other, right? It's all when this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. So it depends on you know what the defense is doing. This is the right read over here, right? It's not dependent on this player. It's not like backyard football where snap the ball, look around, and find out who the open guy is and throw it to him, right? So he needs to kind of get away from that. Not that you don't design things to lean on on Devontae, but he needs to get that out of his head and stop. Remember with Mike McCarthy, how it was always like, we need bigger plays and we need more Devontae. Okay, yes, we should try to utilize Devontae as much as possible, but it's not a game plan to sit back and throw at Devontae all day long. And I want to lean more on Matt LaFleur in the scheme and the play calling to distribute the ball. And if things are going well, we are distributing the ball because it's too easy for a defense to key in on one thing. If our whole game plan is Devontae, it's super. It doesn't matter if you have a trash defense. You double up the number one wide receiver, and then the offense falls apart. That's stupid, and that's not going to work. We have to be able to distribute the ball across multiple fronts, and that means Aaron Rodgers needs to be able to look the other direction, and those guys need to step up. Because if he starts looking the other direction and they don't contribute, or they don't get open, or they don't run to the right spot, Aaron's going to say, okay, well, that's stupid. I'm not going over there anymore. He's going to go through his progressions kind of like, nope, Devontae, right? It's not going to go well. I think the second year of this offense makes it more consistent. We avoid heart attack pack against teams we should dominate, Andy says. I hope so. That's the goal. Again, it's not. I don't care about the record. I don't care if we go from 11 wins or from 13 wins to 11 wins. If this is a more solid, stout team, that when I play a bad team, we dominate. When we play a good team, maybe we don't win, but it's going to be close, and we just look competent. That's all I want. I mean, I want wins and I want health, but competent is going to be important because at the end of the day, all this is going to be, if we're the same team we were last year, is you win a bunch of games, you lose some games you're not supposed to, we limp into the playoffs, and we just get embarrassed. And I don't want to do that anymore. So let's just not do that. Andy says Gary gets a sack. He's replying to somebody else. Kyle says Gary getting a sack. Bring back the nitro package. The nitro. I miss the nitro pack. That's pretty close to what we're doing outside of Kenny Clark being there. I don't know who else we would put in there, but it's pretty close to nitro. Nitro was the four outside linebackers playing along the defensive line. It's all pass rushers along the defensive line. So that's pretty much what we would have if it's Preston and Zadarius and Gary and Kenny outside of Kenny, which I love that four. Um, King has a knack for picking off Cousins, Billy says. At least last year he came up with a couple big ones. Yeah, obviously there's that sort of becoming iconic one of, and Cousins was under duress, I want to say from Gary, but I don't know who it was. But he kind of throws off his back foot, and Kevin King has that almost Michael Jordan-esque floating in the air, almost as though he's like, he floats and then goes back up and catches it. It was a beautiful interception. Um, I mean, I'm good with it. If we're saying if we're let's just say it now. King gets a pick. I'm good with it. If that's what we're saying as a group, let's just do it. Um, JJ says, "Look at that handsome mug." You are stupid, JJ. I'm kidding. JJ's a good man. Um, I don't know what that's referring to. Ryan, think we'll see some good draw plays where Dylan leads, but Jonesy got the ball. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. Yeah, maybe. I guess. I mean, that's one of the benefits of having not just two but three really good running backs. And I've talked about it before, where one of the things that A.J. Dillon was really good at in college, which shouldn't surprise anyone because it's a prerequisite for everybody that the Packers draft, is run blocking. So if you have A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones out there, you can have plays in which A.J. Dillon functions as a fullback who runs out and blocks, and Aaron Jones is the one who is carrying the ball. And then, of course, you can build off that where you run a play action where you would, fake a handoff to Aaron Jones with A.J. Dillon lead blocking, except this time A.J. Dillon slips past that blocker and, maybe Aaron Jones runs this way. So the guy that was supposed to be getting chipped goes after Aaron Jones, like, oh no, they're going to throw to him. A.J. Dillon's running, whatever. I'm not trying to draw up my own magical play here, but you can see how you can play with that kind of stuff, right? And you've got guys that are athletic, and they've worked on A.J. Dillon's hands and all that. So, yeah, I'm real excited about the potential of that. But still, I don't know if we see stuff like that early on. I think you kind of baby him into it, kind of like with Rashawn Gary, right? They want Rashawn outside and they want him inside and doing all this stuff. But at the end of the day, especially first year, it's just learn to be an outside linebacker. Learn to just work on some pass rush moves, work on the basics and all that kind of stuff. And that's all we really want to work on. And I think with A.J. Dillon, it's grab the ball, don't fumble, run kind of fast, and then hit somebody really hard. Let's master that, and we'll work from there. Um, Josh says I want to see Gary so much. I agree. I've become a bigger Gary fan. I feel like almost every day. It kind of when we drafted him, I wasn't a fan. Over time, I started kind of warming up to the idea of maybe he can be this, that, or the other. But just the athleticism and the things, that one play that I think I put up in the Facebook group the one time where he blasts. It might have even been against the Vikings. I don't know, but he blasts the left tackle, just completely blows him up. Almost gets to the quarterback. Quarterback scrambles. He sprints after the quarterback and catches him from behind, and the speed is just absolutely absurd. His upside is ridiculous. I can see Tyler Ervin being an X factor that's completely slept on 100%. Again, that's being able to get away from we just have one weapon to we have multiple, and Tyler Ervin is the exact embodiment of just that X factor. I mean, he's not like a guy that you just put in a spot like a slot receiver and say this is our slot receiver. He's just one of those guys that goes on the field and the defense is like, oh crap, what are we doing? What is he doing now? Like, what is this? Is he going to line up in the backfield? Is he going to go as a wide receiver? Is he going to go run, catch a pass? Is he going to do a jet sweep? Every time he's out here, he hurts us. And then he just goes away. He just disappears. And then he comes running out when we're not ready for it. And that's what he did last year. We very rarely saw him, but when we saw him, it was a good thing. Looks like we got a couple more. So it's actually perfect timing because it is 11:32, and I said I would end at 11:30, and it is 28 minutes away. Oh boy! Last year our best game came when Devontae was hurt, and then Aaron plays the. I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's not even uncommon. It's not that uncommon because quarterbacks are human beings. Quarterbacks have anxiety. Quarterbacks don't want. Even like when I play Madden, which is rarely. I know that there's some kind of a system that I'm supposed to be playing into, but I also know that guy's probably going to catch the ball if I just go flip and fling it up to him. So I'm just going to do that. We saw it with Matt Stafford after Megatron left. It was like, oh, they're going to completely fall apart. It's going to be the worst thing ever. Matt Stafford got better. because he couldn't just sit back and launch it to that guy over and over, and defenses couldn't just key in on Megatron over and over and over. He had to sit back and say, okay, I got to learn this. I got to go here, go here, go here. And the offense got better, which is counterintuitive, but in a sense, it makes sense. The real magic happens when you do both. When you play within the system, when you distribute the ball, but you also have this Devontae Adams, who the defense isn't keying in on, and you use him within that, and it's just a beautiful thing. Um, hope we don't see that version of Rodgers where he throws the ball in the dirt and walks off the field with zero emotion. Yeah, I don't feel like we saw that a ton last year. Maybe a little bit. It definitely got better last year. Um, but yeah, high emotion would be nice, and I know we're going to get that from guys like Jamal and Aaron Jones, and you're going to get that from Jair and Kevin King. But we know that Aaron Rodgers is the lifeblood of this team, and if he comes out with a bad attitude, which he won't, but if he does, if he starts getting frustrated or whatever, it bleeds into the rest of the team. Are you surprised by any of the inactives? I've been trying to figure out what those are. Again, I saw that. Let's see, Billy Turner. Montrevious, we knew. Raven Green, yeah, that is surprising. Jordan Love, who cares? Perry Nickerson, Randy Ramsey, Equanimous, and Billy Turner. So Billy Turner is, I'm going to say, a good thing. I shouldn't say that because we should trust the Green Bay Packers that Billy Turner is the best right tackle, but I've made my stance very clear on that. I'm much more comfortable with Rick Wagner out at right tackle. Hopefully he's healthy and he can hold his own. If it's going to be the ultimate, like, in my face. If Rick Wagner is the guy that I want, gets beat by Yannick Ngakoue for like 2 or 3 sacks, I'm just not even going to show my face around here anymore. Equanimous, I didn't expect much from, but it is disappointing that he isn't out there. I would really like him to get healthy and get on the field. Um, Randy Ramsey, hopefully we don't have to see him. If we do, it's because of an injury. Perry Nickerson, Jordan Love, doesn't matter. Raven Green is probably the biggest one. I didn't realize. I mean, I saw him on the injury report. I mentioned he should be fine because he was listed as probable, I believe. But he's not out there, so that I don't want to say it hurts the defense, but obviously I think um, what is Pettin? I wanted to say Perry Nickerson because that's the cornerback's name. Mike Pettin would like to use him in sort of that linebacker role, and I think that kind of gives us the best 11 when Raven Green is on the field. Um, but he's not. It's not Amos or Darnell Savage either. So hopefully we get these guys back. I don't think anything is super serious, at least as far as Equanimous and Raven Green are concerned. And it's going to be interesting to watch Rick Wagner and what they decide to do with Yannick. I really hope Yannick doesn't have a big day because I have talked all kinds of trash about that guy. Ezra Cleveland for the Minnesota Vikings is inactive, which is somewhat surprising. I don't think they were planning on using him, but I know there was a lot of talk about that. Otherwise, Harrison Hand, nothing. Ryan Conley, nothing. Chad Beebe, I don't think. I know he played a good amount last year, but that mostly was due to injury. Um, that's about it. We got anything else? What else we got here? Raven's been hurt for a bit. Yeah, I know Raven's been hurt, but I think he was expected to play, and he's not playing. So, anyways, I'm going to cut it there. Got to get ready, got to get the food ready and all that stuff, and go spend a little bit of time with the fams and whatnot. So, stay in touch. Hit me up. And if the Packers win, I may jump back on here. If not, I probably won't bother. But either way, we'll be doing the podcast tomorrow, hopefully for our first